What if the duel wasn't against a Sith? What if it was mentor versus student? In this video, we're going to answer one of the most fascinating Star Wars what-ifs of all time of Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Qui-Gon Jinn in a full-scale lightsaber and Force battle. This just isn't a fight of skill, it's a clash between philosophies, mastery of the Force, and generational evolution to the Jedi Order. Qui-Gon was a Jedi Master guided by the living Force, while Obi-Wan was the ultimate Jedi Knight, refined through war, loss, and survival. So let's look at both of them in their prime, both with full access to their abilities, who would win and why. Up first, we're going to look at background and experience. Qui-Gon was not a typical Jedi. He has over 60 years of experience depending if you're looking in Legends, but in canon he was around 48 years old by the time of Phantom Menace. He was a veteran of countless diplomatic missions and combat encounters. He was the former Padawan of none other than Count Dooku, notoriously known as one of, if not the best duelist the Jedi have ever seen. And Qui-Gon frequently defied the Jedi Council when he believed the Force guided him elsewhere. Much like his master in Dooku, he would question a lot of things that would go on that he didn't necessarily agree with. He operated on instinct and intuition, trusting the Force over rigid Jedi doctrine. This made him unpredictable and extremely dangerous. He wasn't reckless, he was decisive. For Obi-Wan, he was a battle-hardened general. His experience is forged in fire. He fought at the Naboo crisis. He survived and thrived in the entire Clone Wars. He defeated Darth Maul, General Grievous, Anakin Skywalker, or Darth Vader, depending on how you look at it. But either way, a ton of big bad guys that defined and took down a ton of Jedi. He was one of the few Jedi who actually battled multiple Sith Lords and managed to live. By his prime, Obi-Wan wasn't just experienced, he was refined, disciplined, and lethal when necessary. If Qui-Gon represents Jedi wisdom, Obi-Wan represents the evolution of a Jedi. While Qui-Gon does have age and wisdom, Obi-Wan's experience is large-scale warfare, and repeated high-level duels give him the edge. In round 2, we are going to go with lightsaber combat. Qui-Gon's style was Form 4 Ataru, which is a highly aggressive and acrobatic form. It's fast, flowing attacks, constant forward momentum, and it's designed to heavily overwhelm opponents quickly. And it relies heavily on Force-augmented movements. It's perfect for dominating your opponent early, but it comes at a cost as your stamina will get drained rather quickly, especially in prolonged fights. And Qui-Gon, while powerful, is still mortal. And a perfect example of this is when he fought and lost to Darth Maul. Obi-Wan is the master of Form 3 Ceresu, and its main focus is on a more defensive style. It has minimal energy usage, and it has an impenetrable guard. It's designed specifically to counter aggressive forms like Ataru. It's not flashy, but it's devastating over time. Obi-Wan doesn't rush, he waits for you to get exposed and leave an opening, and then he'll strike. In a head-to-head matchup, Qui-Gon would attack relentlessly with his more offensive style, and Obi-Wan would absorb, deflect, and conserve his energy, and over time, Qui-Gon would probably end up getting tired down, and in this exact dynamic, like I mentioned before, we saw Darth Maul use this to his advantage, overwhelming Qui-Gon and catching him off guard. Ceresu is a hard counter to Ataru, and Obi-Wan's patience level is lethal in long engagements. Not only do we look at Darth Maul, we can look at when he battled Vader, Grievous, and multiple other enemies. For Force abilities, Qui-Gon is the living Force mastery. His true strength lies in connection to the Force. He has exceptional intuition, powerful telekinesis, heightened pre-recognition, and he's the first Jedi to rediscover the path to Force immortality. The way he uses the Force is very fluid and instinctive. He reacts before events fully unfold, and in raw spiritual connection, Qui-Gon is arguably superior. Kenobi is more of a tactical Force user. He doesn't overpower with the Force, but he uses it extremely efficiently, once again integrating his more defensive style. He has very precise telekinesis, he has strong Force barriers, and he has exceptional mental discipline. His resistance to the dark side influence and Force manipulation is unlike anything we've ever seen before. His power scales with pressure. The longer the fight goes, the more focused and dangerous he will inevitably become. And for me, I can't give the edge to anyone, as I would say this is more of a tie. I want to look at the mindset and philosophy of both of these Jedi. Qui-Gon trusts the Force. He fights with instinct and his own belief. He follows the Force wherever it leads him, even if it costs him. That faith is powerful, but it can also make him accept outcomes rather than force a victory. Obi-Wan will adapt and survive. He wants to fight to end the fight. He adapts mid-battle, studies patterns, and exploits weaknesses. He learned from Qui-Gon's death against Maul, from Anakin's fall to the dark side, and from his many battles and encounters throughout the entirety of the Clone Wars. He doesn't rely on destination, he creates outcomes. Now, how I would see a battle between these two go, it would be with Qui-Gon opening up on the offense and extremely aggressive, forcing Obi-Wan on the defense. Obi-Wan would allow the pressure, conserving stamina, blocking every shot that Qui-Gon throws at him. Qui-Gon will press harder and harder, using force attacks and his extremely offensive style. As the time goes on, Qui-Gon will inevitably begin to slow as the stamina drains, but this is where Obi-Wan ends up becoming stronger. He recognizes the opening that Qui-Gon has left over and over again. Obi-Wan will then perfectly execute a counterattack, disarm Qui-Gon, or inevitably take him down with one strike. Not through brute force, but through patience and mastery, I see Obi-Wan winning. His superior defensive lightsaber mastery would just outshine any offensive attacks. Once again, it leads back to stamina, and he has more experience against elite opponents that we've seen. He's defeated Maul multiple times, took down General Grievous, and he defeated Darth Vader. But make no mistake that Qui-Gon would push Obi-Wan to his absolute limit. This fight would be long, intense, emotional, and devastating, but in the end, the student would surpass the master. And it helps that Obi-Wan learned multiple things throughout his years of being Qui-Gon's Padawan. If Qui-Gon represents what the Jedi should have been, Obi-Wan represents what they became to survive. But let me know what you think. Do you agree with this outcome, or do you think it would play out totally different? Let me know all of that in the comments down below. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more content around the galaxies, and I will see you in the next one.